Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to today's video, and today I will be pretty much talking about one of the worst trading experiences I've ever experienced, and this is one of the items that a lot of people try to buy, and it's also going to give you a little bit of insight on how you can buy these items in bulk without actually wanting to rip out your hair, because buying this item is probably the worst experience you could possibly have in PoE when you want to do any sort of juice mapping. And what I'm talking about here is charged compasses or sextants. So for anyone who doesn't know, whenever you want to do a map, you can put 4 sextants on the map, and these things greatly change your farming strategy. So right now I'm trying to do some strong boxes, trying to farm some Crimson Temple, trying to use a Wandering Path Atlas tree with some Magic Find to get the Apothecary card. However, anyone will tell you that one of the biggest things for making money in terms of farming strats is you want to be always efficiently farming, and that means that you want to be putting in the maps back to back. So in order to put in the maps back to back, you kind of have to have a full tab ready to go for all your mapping materials. So that usually includes the maps that you end up rolling, and then the sextants that you'll be using, and then the scarabs that you'll be using. There's 3 different things you generally need to buy: the maps, the scarabs, and the sextants. So for this scenario right here, on my strategy, I want to be buying the cartography, divination, reliquary scarab, ambush scarabs, and those are generally not too bad. You can go into the bulk selling section of TFT, or not TFT, of the trade site. You can see right here, you can buy the scarabs really easily. The maps is a little bit harder. You could technically go in the map section here, but however, this thing is another problem. And PoE has always had an over-reliance on third-party tools in order for people to be able to actually play the game. So you can see right here, you can go here, you can buy 50 Crimson Temples. Now, the problem with this is you don't really know if these Crimson Temples will be 8 mod corrupted. So if you go right here, you'll see that all of these maps are 8 mod corrupted, which makes a pretty big difference in terms of mapping because the quant is so much higher. However, there is a way to get around this. For people who don't know, this is a Discord TFT. You can go to want to sell maps, and you can type in Control F Crimson. And generally, there'll be people who say uncorrupted, and then corrupted, and then I think there'll be some that says 8 mod corrupted. It's not super under 8 mod corrupted, 15C each, right? So there's definitely people selling these maps for around 15 chaos, and that's how you buy the maps and the scarabs. However, now we get to the compasses, and how do you actually buy the compasses? Well, that's where the problem lies. So Sanctum has definitely led to the rise of Alchemy mapping, and this is actually the first time I experienced juice mapping. I have kind of taken a step back from juice mapping because I just wanted to do some zero investment currency strategies or Alchemy mapping in order to get my relics. Now, if you might be wondering how good are my relics that I've done, and the sad part is I never really got a slam dunk relic except for the tornado shot character. So I have this thing, chaos damage plus 3 max lightning res, and then I have cold exposure at 1 to 4 instack. This is probably the best one, I think. Then lightning damage can freeze, the lightning res move speed, max res, life regen, pretty good on a Juggernaut RF build. All res, move speed, crit multi, cold damage to spells. And I have a fire damage can shock relic somewhere. But as you can see, no relic is really that good. But at this point, I've pretty much given up on the relics. So I decided to try out Juice Crimson Temples. And I tried to buy enough compasses for a 50 map set. And boy, oh boy, was that quite an experience. So because I usually play during late night Pacific time, and that is the time zone where PoE player base is at its lowest point. So you can see right here, this is when late night Pacific time is at. And you can see right here, it goes all the way down to around like 22,000 players when the peak is around like 45 to 50,000 players. So what that means is it's really hard to buy any sort of mapping supplies at that time. And when I went on TFT to buy the compasses, and in the end, you might think that, oh, I'm always saying stuff about TFT. And the sad fact is without TFT, buying compasses would be terrible for every single person in the game. So you Control F in Rage Strongbox. And you can see here, there's a lot of people selling this stuff. Like 10x in Rage Strongbox, 188. So you might be thinking there's no problem at all. Now, there would be no problem if I was playing at this time. As you can see, at the time of recording this video, it's 2:25 p.m. Which means at 2:25 p.m., it's all the way over here. This is 6 o'clock, so it's at the peak player base. So the problem is that when I went to go buy these sextants, there were 0 people online selling any bulk. And a lot of these times you'll see that these people are pretty much all the same people who are selling these bulk values, and these people do run out of these sextants a lot of times. And this really comes down to sometimes if more people start rolling sextants and they think that is profitable. But for some reason whatsoever, at that specific time, there's no one who was selling any enraged strong boxes. Everyone I whispered on TFT was offline or had no bulk at all. So I had to go to the dreaded trade site. Now, going to the dreaded trade site, and it is quite a bad experience. Now, first off, you have these weirdos who literally price every single thing in Awakened Sextants for whatever reason. And then you have to check if the uses remaining is right. So there's actually a way you can do shift tilde use remaining. And by making this video, I'm trying to help you out and trying to buy these sextants in case you ever have to use the trade site. So this is how you actually look for the sextant with 4 uses remaining. Now we run into a next problem, is that a lot of these people don't even respond. So you can see right here, this guy has the price absurdly low, and that guy is obviously price fixing. I think the price is around 180 chaos or 160 chaos on TFT. So theoretically, if you want a money-making strategy, you could technically buy up all of these sextants at 123 chaos and reprice them on TFT, and you probably sell it instantly. And it's probably not too bad. You do every single trade, you make like 40 chaos or so, or 30 chaos. And that is the price of trading, is the time you spend doing this. Now, you could try to say, oh, this guy has one similar result, so he probably has more than one. So you can try to whisper this guy, ask him if he has 2. Now, the problem is I needed to do this for 48 sextants total in order to do a 48 map sample size. So what that means is I have to whisper 12 people in order to do this. And I need 4 sextants total. So that's 48 different trades. Now, 48 different trades is not too bad if every single person responds. However, half these people are price fixing. Half of them have no intention of responding because they're just not at their computer and you don't really know if they're there. And then I have to beg them and ask them, how many sextants do you actually have? Do you have multiples? And sometimes you might get lucky. Like I did get lucky on one of these people. I got lucky and this person sold me like 5 of them. And I was like, wow, that's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my PoE existence. Someone sold me 5 compasses. Now, besides just complaining, there are some ways around this. So how to get around the issue, like I said, is buy the mapping supplies during peak hours. Currently, with the real life issues I have, this is not possible for me. I can't actually log on to PoE during the peak time that everyone plays the game. And you could also spam refresh the bulk compass sell section. So technically I could have spam refresh, and I did do that a little bit, and maybe you'll get lucky and someone will post it and someone will give you your enraged strongbox sextant. Now the next thing is you could spend the extra money and you can just eat it and say like, wow, I don't want to do this anymore. I can try to buy a 16U sextant. Now 16U sextant is a little bit better. You can see how it's 600% instead of 500% quant. However, you can see the price is completely crazy. It's 16 uses, 130 times 4 is 520. 520 divided by 250 is roughly 2.2 divines around there. So you're paying a huge amount of premium to get that 16U sextant. But at times, that's what you should do, right? You don't want to waste that much time. So I actually did end up buying a 16U sextant because I was really annoyed. Now, some of the other ones aren't really that much more expensive. So this one, 8 mod, you can see it's only like 2 divines, and buying these are actually like 100 chaos on TFT. So it's not too big of a deal for some of them, but I think the Enraged Strongbox 600% one is super, super overpriced. And lastly, you could also just hire someone to buy it. Now, in order for where to buy it, I think it's on custom services, or I don't know. There's people who sell it, or maybe there's a buying service on here. There's so many different services. Oh yeah, looking for bulk buyer. Yeah, you could technically go to a bulk buyer right here and say, oh, I want someone to buy all these sextants for me, and you can pay them a certain price. But I don't know. I don't really know if anyone actually buys bulk compasses for people, but that's probably another solution. Now, there are some ways that GGG can actually fix the issue, because a lot of these solutions that we come up with are actually player-invented solutions. Now, what they could do, and what a lot of people have been asking for, is they could pretty much make all the items in the bulk section in a commodity trading house. However, you would see that this wouldn't really solve our compass issue. Even if GGG was to suddenly become a benevolent developer and have the biggest change of heart ever, and not realize that, oh, all of their money is tied to stash tabs and having this archaic trade system because in order to play the game, you actually need to buy all these stash tabs. In fact, you can't even really trade easily without buying a premium stash tab. So in terms of the auction house, it's probably a pipe dream. However, GGG can make the compasses stack, so we can buy it like scarabs. So you can see right here, I didn't have much trouble buying the scarabs, because the scarabs you can buy like 8, you can buy 10, you can buy 50, you can buy 60, you can buy 100 at a time really, really easily. However, this is not possible because compasses cannot stack. So the only way that you can kind of do it is you pretty much have to ask people to start just dumping all of their compasses into a dump tab and pricing it that way. I mean, that is technically a way, but this is like something that would have to have wide adoption. So someone have to have all of their sextants, and then they would have like 20 similar results if it's all in the same tab. And the sad fact is that compasses are probably going to be remaining in its current state because it makes GGG money. So people who want to bulk roll sextants, what's the easiest way for bulk rolling sextants to make money? Can you even bulk roll sextants if you don't have a quad dump tab or something like that? And the answer is probably no. Stash tab space is valuable, and making more items not stacks, like chaos orbs, stacking in bigger quantities, is the price we pay for the current model that PoE currently has, which is free to play, but stash tabs are extremely pay to win, because rolling sextants is actually one of the most profitable strategies in the game. Now, it did take me over 2 hours to buy all of the mapping supplies, and it's probably because I was just being stubborn about it, and I just kept refreshing TFT, trying to find this white knight in shining armor to save me, and he never came, so I had to go to the streets and pretty much whisper people one by one to try to get the enrage strongbox sextant. Now, lots of people have expressed dissatisfaction with how long it actually takes to buy all of the mapping supplies, and buying all of the mapping supplies is a dreadful experience. Everyone I talk to never enjoy interacting with the trade site to buy all of the mapping supplies, and I do hope if you did any takeaway from this video is that you can use this to buy the compasses really easily. Buying the compasses like this for your map rolling sessions is huge. It's just I couldn't do this because I was playing at a bad time slot. And you could also use this to buy the maps that you want, like 8 mod maps. Now, it's also very important to take into the consideration of the time spent buying mapping supplies when you consider profit per hour for farming strategies. A lot of farming strategies, they pretty much just list out excellence, put everything there, and just assume that there's no time spent setting up the strategy and there's no time spent selling the mats. So a lot of times you might just want to look at maybe map profit per hour, and that's why people are actually so poor in PoE when you look at the divine per hour strategies, because if there's so many strategies with like 10 divines per hour, 8 divines per hour, you would think that everyone would be able to buy a headhunter or have a really fleshed out build so soon, right? If you're making that much money. And in the end, it's because of the friction that we play with that causes this to happen. So overall, main takeaway from the video is maybe GGG can find a workaround to make compasses not so horrible to trade without TFT. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors, divines, and mage bloods than me, and see you next time. Bye!